So you're getting ready for a trip. That's awesome. Well, in this explainer, we're going to master a few super simple but absolutely essential English words. Honestly, they are the key to helping you navigate the world with confidence. So let's just dive right in. Okay, so picture this. You've just landed in a brand new city. You're excited, but oh no, your map app isn't working, and you really need to ask for directions. You feel that little moment of panic start to creep in, right? We've all been there. It's the worst. And really, that's what this is all about, isn't it? It's not just about finding your way from A to B. It's about feeling comfortable, feeling confident. I saw this great quote from a traveler on Reddit, and they basically said, if it helps me avoid embarrassing myself, it might be worth it. And that just hits the nail on the head. Nobody wants to feel lost and embarrassed. So what's the big secret here? Is there some complex grammar rule you need to learn? Nope. It's actually a small group of words called prepositions of place. And they are so powerful because they answer the single most important question you have when you're traveling. Where? Okay, here's our game plan to get you totally travel ready. First, we'll tackle the big three: in, on, and at. Super important. Then we're going to expand your vocabulary with a full positioning toolkit. After that, we'll put it all into practice. We'll look at asking for and giving directions. And to wrap it all up, we'll finish with a handy travel cheat sheet you can basically take with you anywhere. All right, first up, let's talk about the absolute foundation. We're talking in, on, and at. And I'm serious here. If you can master just these three little words, you will solve like 80% of your location questions. It's a huge win. The best part about these three is how simple the rules are. It's pretty straightforward. You use at for a specific point or location. Think of it like dropping a pin on a map, right? Meet me at the entrance. Then you use in for an enclosed space, being inside something. The keys are in the bag. And finally, you use on for a surface. Your phone is on the table. Easy, right? Okay, I know what you might be thinking. What about a situation like this? She's at the library versus she's in the library. Which one is right? Okay, I know what you might be thinking. What about a situation like this? She's at the library versus she's in the library. Which one is right? Well, surprise. Both of them can be correct. The difference is all about focus. When you say she's at the library, you're just talking about her general location. But if you say she's in the library, you're really emphasizing that she is physically inside the building. It's a subtle little detail, but it's super useful to know. So see, this is all about picking the right word for the context. A bus stop, that's a specific point. So we use at. We are waiting at the bus stop. Simple as that. Okay, what about bigger spaces? Well, a good way to think about it is to imagine cities, countries, even cars as big containers. In English, we treat them like enclosed areas. So you live in London, you're vacationing in France, or you're riding in a car. You're inside it. And finally, let's nail down on. It's all about surfaces. A painting is on the wall. Your phone is on the table. A book is on the shelf. The key idea here is that it's physically touching the surface. Okay, so now that we've got the big three down, let's build on that. It's time to expand our positioning toolkit with a few more really useful words. These are the words that really help you describe where things are in relation to each other. They add detail. For example, the cafe is behind the hotel, or the park is in front of the station. The pharmacy is next to the bank. See how that creates a much clearer picture in someone's head? It's so much more helpful. And here's a little pro tip for you, something to help you sound even more natural. A lot of these prepositions have synonyms, so you could say something is next to the park, or you could say it's beside the park. Both are totally correct. Knowing these is great because it helps you understand what other people are saying, and, it adds a little variety to your own speech. All right, our toolkit is ready. Now for the fun part. Let's put these words to work in a real-world travel situation. This is where it all comes together. Honestly, asking for help is way easier than you think if you just break it down into a few simple steps. Step 1, always start politely. A simple "excuse me" is perfect. Step 2, make your request nice and clear. Could you tell me how to get to the museum? And step 3, this one's the most important, don't ever be afraid to ask them to repeat themselves. A simple "sorry, could you repeat that?" works wonders. People are usually happy to help. Of course, the tables might turn. You could be the one who knows the way, and someone might ask you for directions. So let's flip it around and look at how to use these new words to help someone else out. This is probably the most common, most useful direction you will ever give or receive. If the path is just, straight in front of them, you just say, go straight ahead. Now, check this out. See how this one combines an action, turn right, with a location marker? This is where our big three lesson comes right back in. Where do they turn? At the traffic lights. That's our specific point. Okay, here is a perfect example of putting it all together. You'll see the shop on your left next to the park. Did you catch that? We used multiple prepositions there to paint a really clear picture. The shop is on your left, that's a surface, right? And it's next to the park. This is exactly how people talk. This is how you'll hear and give directions out in the real world. Whew. Okay, we've actually covered a lot of ground. So let's pull everything together into one simple, super powerful reference guide for you. All right, this right here, this is your key takeaway, your travel cheat sheet. I really want you to pay attention to the travel examples because these are where a lot of common mistakes happen. So remember, you're in a car or a taxi, but you're on a bus, a train, or a plane. And your hotel is on a certain street, but you'll meet a friend at the entrance. Think of this cheat sheet as your little shortcut to always getting it right. And that's it. It's that simple. You now have the fundamental tools you need to get around in English with so much more confidence. You're not just a tourist anymore, you're an explorer. So the only real question left is, where are you going to explore first?